Here's an article that from the Times of Israel that I believe takes a page right out of Bible prophecy. As many of you know, for years I have been saying that at some point the United States would drop out of the Middle East peace process with Israel, and eventually that the European Union would step in. Right now the European Union is trying to make a foothold into solving this peace process, starting with Hamas. And a couple of weeks ago I did bring you a portion of what is going on, but here are some of the details right here. 2 weeks ago the Foreign Ministry proposed to the Israeli cabinet a plan for stationing foreign troops in the Gaza Strip to monitor rebuilding and demilitarization efforts in the wake of war there this summer, Haaretz reported Sunday. According to the report, the forces would be empowered to confiscate weapons and contraband materials to ensure that Hamas will not be able to rearm itself. Israel has demanded that Hamas be disarmed if it is to ease long-standing restrictions on the Strip and entertain the prospect of a seaport and airport in Gaza. Hamas, meanwhile, has vehemently rejected demilitarization. The international force described in the report would be temporary with an extendable mandate that would initially be set for a single year and would preferably be composed of a European Union coalition, although the document reportedly allowed for the possibility of a NATO force, a UN force, or a general Western coalition. According to the report, the Foreign Ministry recommended that the force operate under a charter similar to UNIFIL, the UN force in southern Lebanon, which would require the approval of Israel, the Palestinian Authority, and Egypt, and ideally be established under the aegis of a UN Security Council resolution. The force, whose main task would be rehabilitation and disarmament, would function at various locations inside the Strip itself and at border crossings, especially the Rafah border crossing with Egypt and the surrounding area, the report said. The European soldiers would be armed and given the mandate to deal with threats from Hamas and other terror organizations, including inspecting UN schools and other international facilities to ensure they are not being used to hide weapons or other materials deemed dangerous to Israel. The report was given to Israel's Security Cabinet on August 21st and was based on ideas floated by various UN countries. An unnamed Foreign Ministry official was quoted as saying. However, the EU has not proposed a concrete plan for international monitors in Gaza, and Egypt, which would have to be a partner in such an agreement, has so far been cold to the idea. The 50-day Israel-Hamas war this summer ended on August 26 with an open-ended truce. Talks on a long-term ceasefire agreement are expected to take place next month in Cairo, and it is likely that the idea of international monitors in Gaza will be on the agenda. Well, right now Egypt is cold to the idea for whatever reason. I'm not sure yet, but at some point in time that will all change, I believe. But simply put, this is an extraordinary development, especially with the report that the European Union will use force necessary to get the job done. As we know, anytime the UN has come in and tried to do any type of monitoring, the first sign of trouble, they've usually backed off and got out of the area. But if this report is true, the European Union indicates that they are willing to use deadly force in order to meet their objectives of disarming Hamas and making sure that the area is safe toward Israel. Now, the agreement is basically meant to be only for 1 year, but I believe that's going to morph into 7 years, as the Bible does indicate in Daniel 9:27. Now, here's something else that I believe is very biblical and right out of the pages of Bible prophecy. It specifically says that the forces that will secure Israel's security and make it strong are European Union troops, although it does say that a multinational force could be used, such as NATO or something of that nature. It looks to be that the first set of troops, or the first set of security forces, will be European Union. Now, here's something else that could very well come from this, and that is when the Antichrist does come on the scene, and he will come, will he step right into the role as peacemaker due to the successful containment of Hamas and the demilitarization of the Gaza Strip. It's my belief that the Antichrist will come to power through his regional and international successes, not only in the world of politics but also financially. As many of you know, I have touched on many times that the European Union is in dire financial situation right now. And because of this dire financial situation, that may be one of the avenues in which the Antichrist does rise. Daniel 8:23 through 25 does indicate that he will be a person who will bring peace, but it will be through his war machine that he obtains the peace, meaning that through his bloody military tactics he will bring and maintain peace. But also in verse 25 it does indicate that he will cause craft to prosper. Now I realize that many believe that that means that he will use witchcraft or deception in order to bring prosperity. Now frankly, I believe that that will be financial prosperity, meaning through deception he'll make the world believe that he's actually going to bring prosperity to this world, and they will buy it. And if he can get the world to believe that prosperous times are ahead, by whatever means that he uses, that is the first step to getting people to loose their purse strings and start to spend on various items. And that simply is Economics 101. He will bring a new confidence to the world economy that will cause a spending spree to go on, loosening up the economic noose that is around the European Union's neck, and it will spread to the rest of the world. So it will be through these different economic and political military successes that I believe the Antichrist will rise. And as I've said many times, that this world at some point in time is going to go from natural to supernatural overnight. And that will likely happen after the war of Gog and Magog, which could happen before the tribulation period or the rapture does take place. But the transition will likely take place following the rapture of the church, which I believe is the next thing on God's calendar. As I've said many times, I believe the three steps that are coming are rapture, the peace that the Antichrist will bring, which will start the tribulation period, and sudden destruction. And if you don't know the Lord today, I would encourage you to make that step today. Don't put it off. Tomorrow may be too late. And if you do know the Lord, I would encourage you to get a copy of my Tribulation Period Survival Guide, not for yourself, but for your lost friends and loved ones and neighbors that you know are probably going to be left behind once the rapture of the church takes place. If you really believe that we are living in the last days and the rapture is about ready to take place, you need to get a copy of this book. You actually need to get multiple copies of this book and spread them around to your family members. Give one to each family. If you have a number of siblings or whatever the case may be, neighbors, give one to each family. I guarantee you, if one person has that book in their hands, they are going to spread it around to the rest of their families, because they're going to know once the rapture takes place that the tribulation period will follow. And even though they may not take this book serious when you first give it to them, I guarantee you the day that the rapture takes place, they'll take it very serious. So please don't just take this as another sales pitch, but as another useful tool for you to bring your loved ones into the kingdom of God once you are gone. Well, this is Terry Malone with the Calvary Prophecy Report.